Well, hello again, and how wonderful that I can talk to my friends. And this is Ruth Polston from The Life That Wins. Just referring to a few of the people that I felt like I just wanted to acknowledge today that had written last week. One said this, do you read what I write to you? And I wanted to say, yes, I read everything that I received. So yes, I do. I see it. It's sent to me, and I take seriously everything that is written to me. And then there came another, when people pour into our lives, and you feel like for the rest of your life, you have a piece of yourself in them, and they have a piece in you. Well, I heard from a neighbor. And this neighbor was the one that I called when my husband fell in my kitchen. And he came right over and urged me to take him right to the hospital. And his name is Lou. And he and Jeannie next door have just been there for me. And also, the morning that they called and said that your husband has passed away, you need to come right in but get somebody to take you. Who did I call? But I called him. And he came right away and took me in and just let me have my private time of prayer. And I just want to say a thank you and bless you for the people that are so sensitive to other people's needs. And it was delightful for me to hear from them this week. So thank you very much. God bless. I cherish them all. So thank you. I'm going to talk a little bit today about the fact that you can never be out of God's sight. It's something about reaching. His love went on reaching. His love bent on reaching right past the chaos of my mind. And the word of the Father, he came near his little son, and his love reached all the way to where I was, longing, searching, loving, reaching. And the word of the Father became Mary's little son, and his love reached all the way to where I was. We have been having quite an interesting time in a Bible study that I have been having, and it's been on the life of Jonah. And God had to deal pretty kind of rough with his prophet to get him to shape up, because he was just determined that he was not going to mind God. He was not going to Nineveh. He didn't like them. They had just trounced the city of Israel, or the country of Israel, separated them from 10 tribes to 2 tribes. No, I'm not going there. Very prejudiced, very, very prejudiced. But see, we have a God who reaches, and he still loved Nineveh. Now the Bible said when the cup of iniquity is full, then, okay, there's not anything else for God to do. But evidently there were just maybe a spoonful left of mercy toward Nineveh. Whatever, God's mercy endures forever. And so God said, all right, here's my prophet, and I want you to do that. No, no, no. So then he's very, very, very creative about getting out of it. But then God sends the wind, And the next thing he does, he prepares a fish. Now, when he prepared the fish, it didn't say it was a whale. I don't know what kind of a fish God prepared. But God tailors himself to us. So he had a tailored fish, exactly. And that fish knew exactly what to do. He was going one direction, and now he's going to have to head the other direction and go back where the prophet came from. Because he's carrying pretty precious cargo, and that's Jonah. And God loved Jonah. Well, I have this second chapter here before me, and I'd just like to share with you something that the Lord gave me about the 7 steps of answered prayer that he had in the fish. Now, I don't know, is that your first thought? Well, it probably would be on mine, or I'm not really quick on praying first. My husband, he's very quick. He knows exactly what to do when it happens, and then afterwards he can fall apart. Well, my thing is to fall apart first and then pray. But anyway, we get the praying done. So the first thing he did when he came back said, Jonah prayed unto the Lord, his God. Yeah, he's still his God. Out of the fish's belly. Where do we do most of our praying? In our problems, don't we? So, you know, you have to recognize that if we didn't have anything to overcome, well then, how can we be an overcomer? So God has to constantly keep a motive and emotion going in our lives. And sometimes we don't understand the crisis that we're in, but God will, he will reveal himself in whatever it is. Now in the second verse, he said, I cried. Now I call this the 7 steps of answered prayer. So if you'd like to write them down as I go, that's fine. But the first one was, he prayed. That's the first time he's prayed since he's been on the run. Yeah, it finally got to him. And God knows at what point our problems will get to us to the point that we pray. And it said he prayed, first of all, to the Lord out of his throat. So that was number 1 toward answered prayer. The second one said, I cried by reason of my affliction unto the Lord, and he heard me. Now, Jonah, how do you know he heard you? You're down there in the dark. You're covered up by seaweeds. And that poor old fish is probably taking in a lot of other little fish, and so they're just swimming around you. It must be miserable. But he said, I prayed, and he heard me. Now, maybe that was just a step of faith on there, but I tell you, it is pretty marvelous that he said, and he heard me. Okay, so it's important to recognize that if we pray, we expect that he will hear us. All right, the third one is, he says, for thou, or you could say you if you want to, but I kind of like the thou because I can remember and memorize it better. For thou hast cast me in the deep, in the midst of the sea, and the floods came about me. And here it is again. And all thy billows and thy waves went over me. Now he is recognizing and honoring God and is willing to have it so. Sometimes the best hurry-upper that we can have toward answered prayer is to be willing to have it so. So anyway, he said, thy billows. He recognized who the troubler had been all along. And that just wasn't a fluke, that storm. And certainly the fish was no fluke. And he recognized it, and he said, he acknowledged it. And he recognized it was God himself. Well, the next one he said, I am cast out of thy sight, yet will I. Now, you know, right there, that is a classic one. If we don't get to mention the ones, we've got to talk about this one. You know, there's 2 parts to prayer. there's an ask, and there is a receive. Now, I just pray in my own life that God will make me a better receiver. I'm a good asker. But you know, it said everyone that asks receives. So unless I can go that next step and say, after I prayed, I received, there's not anything to say out there that my circumstances are any different. But I start calling in my answer by saying, yes, that it's the other half. I receive. Everyone that seeks, finds. Knocks, it shall be open. So when you pray, you want to put the end on your prayers. One half is your part, the other half is God. So be a good receiver, okay? The next one, the fifth one, it says, the waters compass me to my soul, to a feeling level. Oh, that's the soul is the feeling level. And he said the weeds were wrapped around my head. Now, you know, that's thoughts. And the thoughts of the enemy, the Bible said that he destroyed the works of the devil. But you know what? He's within calling distance. So he said that they were wrapped around my head. So our head always needs protection. The Bible said, don't even take the thought. If it's a negative thought, if it's an unbelieving thought, don't take the thought. All right, now the sixth one, he said he went down to the bottoms of the bars of the earth, and he said he thought it was forever. He said, yet you have brought my life out from corruption. There you go again, Jonah. He's got it together now because he's putting an end on his prayers. And he said you have brought me up. Well, he's still in there. Yeah, but he's not going to accept that anymore. No, he and God, now they're connecting. Isn't it great to begin to connect with God until you really expect something to happen? All right, the next one is, in my soul fainted within me. My prayer came in, and I looked toward my holy temple. Now he's remembering the corporate worship that he had. Oh, I missed that. Now, he didn't say that before. All right, the next one, and I'll have to skip down here, I think. It said, and I will sacrifice unto thee with the voice of thanksgiving. Oh my goodness, he's taken the lid off now. And God say, okay, yeah, you're just about there. I will sacrifice unto thee, and I will pay that which I have vowed. Now he ran away. He had to give back to God what he had taken. And I'm not talking about money, I'm talking about his vows. He made vows. He ran from his duty. And then he said, I'll go, whatever I vowed, I'm going to pay back, and I'm going to give him the sacrifice. And sometimes when you're in the midst of a big problem like he is, you can turn it around by praise and thanksgiving. And then the Lord spoke to the fish. He prayed in the first place. The next place, he said, all right, you've done your thing. Go along. And so he vomits out his problem. So anyway, he was reaching.